in my probably early 20s. I had my first business. I've had businesses that have succeeded, I failed, I've lost money, I've made money, and I've gone through the journey of raising capital, right? We are a multi-asset class exchange. And what does that mean? Essentially, we do everything from equity, which is like trading your shares, to currency derivatives. You can trade currency, commodities, and commodities is everything from your gold, platinum, steel, to agriculture, to different types of commodities. Right? I know what it's like to slog away and have a great idea and just want to make sure it works, right? And also, we all come from a space where we have families, we want to earn money, and the point is not to make your life harder, right? But rather, how do we enable you? And that's my dream. If I can help SMEs to just make things a little bit easier so that they don't fall into the same traps, you know, then that is the one for me. So that's basically where it comes from. Hi guys! Hello entrepreneurs! I am Cleola Kunene from the JSE, that is the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and it is Africa's largest exchange. And one little thing you may not know is that the JSE is majority women. So I know Women's Month has just passed, but don't be surprised seeing me here. So I'm going to ask a few questions. How many of you here want funding? Raise your hands. Okay, gee whiz. So you want money? How much money? Lots? Okay, what kind of money do you want? No, what kind of money? Just funding? You don't know. How much money do you need? 5 million. Okay, let me ask another question. How much money can you pay back? A point of order. Okay. So I'm Cleola Kunene. I come from an entrepreneurial background. I started being an entrepreneur in my probably early 20s. I had my first business. I've had businesses that have succeeded, I've failed, I've lost money, I've made money, and I've gone through the journey of raising capital, right? I am an award-winning SME development expert and two-time award-winning SME development expert, in case you're wondering. In terms of my day-to-day job, apart from being on a few boards and also having I'm also an angel investor in businesses, I also lead the SME Development Solutions for JSE Group. Now, in terms of what we're going to discuss today, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the JSE, so you know, for those who don't know, so you have a bit of information and context. Then talk a little bit about our solutions. Then I want to talk specifically about capital matching. We had a capital matching initiative last year, and I want to take you a little bit through what we did last year, and then talk about what's going to be happening this year in terms of the capital matching initiative. And then we're going to get into a few of the details around funding readiness, right? Obviously, we can't cover everything today, but if you register on our website, the training for funding readiness is there. It's available. It's free. It's online, and you can go there today to make sure that you understand what's required, that you're equipped and enabled so that you actually can get access to the 5 million that you're asking for. Okay, a little bit about the JSE. We are the 18th largest stock exchange in the world, currently the largest stock exchange in Africa. We are a multi-asset class exchange, and what does that mean? Essentially, we do everything from equity, which is like trading your shares, to currency derivatives. So you can trade currency, commodities, and commodities is everything from your gold, platinum, steel, to agriculture, to different types of commodities. Currency, as I said, interest rates, and then bonds. As you can see, our market cap is 19 trillion, which is higher than our country's GDP, and that means we deal with a lot of money, right? Essentially, I know when a lot of people think stock exchange, they think, you know those guys that shout with the numbers? No, it's all digital. It's a lot of data, and potentially 100,000 trades as fast as you blinked has just gone through, right? So we're not talking about people shouting anymore. In today's age, we have a trading platform and it's world-class. We are a world-class exchange, and you'd be happy to know that we are one of the most sophisticated exchanges in terms of risk management, which means that if you invest and you want your money, you get your money, right? So that is something that is very important. And in terms of regulation, we have won multiple awards as the best regulated exchange in the world, which means we've even beat New York Stock Exchange previously, right? In terms of our SME Solutions, our focus is really economic development. That's why we do what we do. We understand that there's a gap and there's a need in terms of support for SMEs, so we've invested a lot of time, effort, money, and work with government and the SME ecosystem to really support. And this is economic development. We try and help and create diversification. As you know, we don't have a lot of large enterprises, and the goal is to get more companies from small to medium and medium to large, right? So that we can have more diversification. And what does it mean if we have more large companies? Think, and I like to use this as an example, think of a Pick n Pay. How many small businesses does a Pick n Pay support, right? So if we can have one more Pick n Pay, that means ample number of businesses get more support in terms of the value chain. And that is why one of the core solutions we have is acceleration for medium-sized companies. Now, acceleration, we've got some development training, mentoring and coaching. We have capital access and funding readiness, international market expansion, especially for medium-sized companies that are ready to expand internationally, and we've been incredibly successful at that. And then capital access. And then, of course, we do a lot of partnership and collaboration with our public sector. In terms of the revenue growth, we have the most successful accelerator currently in the country. On average, our companies have grown about 56% in terms of the cohort, right? And that means in terms of double-digit revenue growth, right, which is incredible. We've helped companies raise over $300 million, and last year for the capital matching, I'll put that in rands. We help with the capital matching, the companies that participated. We raised over 200 million rands for those companies that was allocated. This is a little bit of a recap showing you what the capital matching looks like. It is not Shark Tank pitching. You meet with funders directly, decision makers, deal makers, and you pitch your business in a private setting to them, right? Because it is mindful, it is respectful, and the goal is to ensure that you actually get access to funding, right? That is the goal. Now, in terms of the event that we had last year, we had about 87 different stakeholders that we brought on board. That's incubators, associations, etc., that basically put their companies forward. We had 15 different capital providers that included DFIs, that's your government funding, ESD funding, debt funders. Some of the funders are here today. I see Altways, business partners are here, and they were also there. We had about 400 SMEs that applied. Out of that, only 127 companies went through because they completed the funding readiness training, and 90-something companies pitched, and out of that, immediately 52 on the day were approved for matching, right, for funding. Now, this year, we're going to be doing similar. We're going to 3 different provinces, but the funding readiness is national, and then we also have JSE private placements where you can apply today if you want to have funding, right? So you are not beholden to just the capital matching events. You can go either through JPP, which is JSE private placements, or you can participate in the actual capital matching event. Now, in terms of what we're looking at, funding readiness, you don't have to be a business that is operational. You can be a startup today, right, to go through the training. And the training is online and it's free. However, in terms of access to funding, the things that we recommend is that you're at least looking for 250,000 Rand and above, right? that you have been in operation for a minimum of 2 years, because we want to look at some kind of history or benchmark in terms of where you've been, and also that you actually go through the program, and you can register on our website, of course. Now, how does it work? We've got 30-minute meetings, but remember, by then you are ready. So this is literally now the meet and greet with the deal makers, right? And you've got a slick pitch, you're 100% geared, and you're going to be meeting with at least 4 different funders. Now, why 4 different funders? Because the funder, even if you've got 20 funders there, the funder and the business requirement has to match. So we work with the funders and the SMEs to ensure that you are 100% aligned. For instance, if a VC is looking for tech funders, we wouldn't match them with a business that's tourism, for instance, right? So you want to make sure that you are also clear about what you want in terms of funding as well. Because remember, there are so many different funding requirements. Okay, now in terms of funding readiness training, this is just high level, some of the funding readiness information that we cover. Understanding funding landscape. Do you know how many different funding options there are, right? It's diverse. It's insane. If you actually understood what are the different funding structures, you wouldn't just apply for funding. You would really interrogate what's right for your business, right? Then building a solid business plan. You may have a business plan, but does your business plan align to what funders are looking for? What are the telltale things that a funder is going to look at when he looks at your business plan to say, this business plan is fundable? How do you know if your business plan is fundable, right? Then we look at financial review and financial projections. Of course, finance is important. Do you have your accounting stuff in order, or do you need assistance? And where do we need to assist you to get your stuff in order? And then, of course, your marketing strategy. Now, why sales and marketing? We're not trying to teach you how to do sales and marketing. We're trying to guide you on your forecasting requirements and how you communicate that information to a funder. If you say you're going to grow, you've only grown by 2 clients, but tomorrow you're saying next year we're going to grow by 10. Is that feasible, and how are you demonstrating that, right? So what are the kinds of things, even in terms of formulas and tools and market assessment information that you need to provide to communicate that you've actually asked the right questions, that you know what you're talking about. If you say, I want this money to market my business so my business can grow, do you know what a serviceable market is versus the obtainable market? Do you know what your target market is versus your obtainable market? Do you know how much it costs for you to get to that market? Right? So what is that calculation that says this is how much it's going to cost my business to achieve that target market, right? This is what it looks like online, and then we also do live sessions where we actually bring in the funders, where you can ask your questions, you can go through it. It's very easy, it's broken down, and you can register today. Right. Now let's get into some of the details. Are you ready? You're not ready. You don't want money. I don't think these people here want money. You look like you're now scared. Did I scare you? Not yet. Okay. Is funding really your need? Do you really need money? You sure? Or do you need a better competitive strategy? Right? What do you really need? Is funding going to solve, the question is the money going to solve your business problem? Because remember, the funding you get is not going to be about paying your salaries. Funding is about saying, I'm using that money to equip the growth of my business. So if you are not even stable and you don't know how to create a stable business, is funding going to solve it? Because you're going to put money, but is money going to solve your problem? So question 1, is funding really what you need, right? Then are you ready to take on funding? Because funding is like marriage, right? Wedding day, nice. Marriage, right? Divorce, whoa. Right. So, if you are not ready to take on the marriage of bringing someone into your business that's going to tell you A, B, C, what's happening here? Why didn't you pay this? What's going on? Then you are not ready for funding. Because remember, it is basically saying, I'm now going to answer, because it's not your money. This is not your money, this is someone else's money. So now you're going and saying, can I please use your money to grow my business? Okay. Month end. So, how did you grow? What happened? Can you answer a question? Can you pay back that money? So remember, there is no such thing, even if it's grant funding or ESD funding, there's no such thing as free money. It does not exist. There's an accountability requirement. You are accountable for every cent that you take, right? So if you are not ready for the marriage, don't take the engagement ring, right? Remember that. Say, where are you in your funding journey? Okay, so this is very important because not all funding is equal or not all funding is going to be for your business, right? So what is ideation funding? Ideation funding says, I've got an idea, I need to either do feasibility research for this idea, right? So for instance, I've got a great concept that I need to test, right? This is really good, for instance, someone who wants to develop their own IP or technology or a green energy product, whatever. You've got ideation, so you need funding for that idea, right? There's very little ideation funding in South Africa, okay? I'm just gonna be very honest with you. Very few people are willing to back an idea unless they really think this idea is going to work, right? And most people, I've got an idea, I need money. And then, why must I support your idea? How many people have got ideas and how many people have actually delivered on those ideas, right? So be very clear, if you want ideation funding, it has to be an idea that you can demonstrate can be backed, right? Can be supported, because what is the goal for any funder? Return on investment. I want my returns. Give you the money, I want a return, right? Then startup, most people here are startups. I'm a startup, I've proven my idea, it's worked a little bit, I've invested some of my own money, right? And one of the things that I'm going to tell you right now, track from day one what you're spending in your business. Why? Because one of the things, and I'm an investor, I can tell you, one of the things I'm going to look at is what is your skin in the game? How much have you put in? So even if you're buying data, track it. Why? Because ultimately it adds up, and what it says is I have invested in my business, right? So I'm not just asking you for money, I'm saying I've put in money into making this idea work. So don't think because you're putting in money, you don't have to track it. No, track that money, because that money shows that you have invested and you've got skin in the game, right? Okay. Then project funding, Series A funding, etc., right? So understand where you are in your funding journey and understand what type of funding is right for you. Some people will say, oh, I want VC funding. Do you know what VC funding is, right? Versus different types of debt structures. Versus private equity funding. Private equity, I can tell you, most businesses here would not get private equity funding. Why? Because private equity is basically a shareholder buyout for profit-making businesses. So private equity firm says, I want a business that's making money, that needs some capital, and they're profit-making, and I want to buy some of those shares, right? So that I can make money with them. They're not looking for a great idea, high-growth company. No, they're looking for a business that is making a profit already, right? And preferably a business that's already over 20 million in revenue, okay? So think about very carefully, where do you fit and what's relevant for your business. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time, effort, your own money applying for funding that's not relevant to you. And then you're going to say, nobody wants to fund me. Well, you're asking the wrong person just to begin with, because that funding is not for your business, right? So understand who provides what type of funding. And there's lots of funders in South Africa, different kinds of funders, right? So you say, I want purchase order financing. What is the difference between invoice financing and purchase order financing? Okay? How much do you require? Okay, this is very critical. Why do you need to know exactly how much you need? Because from the day you get that money needs to work, right? It's a workhorse. So if you don't know how much you need and how long you're going to need that money for, you may ask too little or you may ask too much. If you ask too much and that money hasn't been optimized, it's basically lazy money. And that discredits your business. So the next time you need money, they're going to say, well, you've been lulling here with people's money, right? So also don't try and go for the maximum amount. Try and see exactly how much you need, and maybe you need funding in phases, right? Maybe not everything up front. But understand the moment that money hits your account, it needs to do something. So you need to have a plan for the money. What is your plan? How much do I need? How long do I need it for? What exactly am I going to do with this money? Every cent. Be clear. You know the number one thing that tells me that somebody never thought through how much money they need? Can I wild guess? Any hands? Sorry? It's round numbers. I need 80,000. I need 800,000. You need 800,000. 000. That's what it tells me immediately, and I can tell you, most funders will tell you immediately, no thank you. You're just telling me you never thought through this. You haven't done the homework to really think about how much you need, right? Okay, let's go into a little bit more detail. Now, in terms of the dangers of raising too much or too little, I've spoken a little bit about that. A lot of companies, you'll see that, for instance, high growth companies, they'll raise money in Series A, but then struggle to raise money in Series B, or raise money in seed and then struggle to raise Series A. Why is that? Because it's a good business. But what I'm going to look at is, you've had this money. You said that I need this money for 5 years. What has this money done for 5 years? You said you're going to grow by an X amount, right? You said I'm going to grow 10X. 5X, whatever. You've only grown by 3. That means you don't know how to optimize the money. So why should I invest in you, right? Now the temptation to spend is there, because especially most of us, we're struggling, we're pushing, right? And you need money for certain things. Be as transparent as possible and credible in terms of what you need the money for. If part of it is for salaries, then be clear. I need some money to hire some people. I need some money, but don't try and go for the maximum amount. I had somebody who asked me for funding one day, and on the thing he put BMWs. I was like, so you want my money to buy BMWs? I'm sorry, no. Right? We all understand that there's a need, obviously, for working capital, that you need some money to be able to survive, right? But until the business makes a profit, it's just that. It's survive, not thrive. You want to thrive, make a profit, right? Then you thrive. You cannot be thriving on someone else's money. You cannot be paying yourself a high salary on someone else's money. That's an immediate red flag. If I go through your salaries and I'm like, you went from this to this because you got money, red flag. It means you are not accountable for the money, and you don't understand that this is the business's money. It's not your money, right? Okay, sales and marketing strategy. We spoke about serviceable, achievable market, cost of marketing and achieving strategy, cost and time of sales, and sales cycles. Do you know exactly what you can get in terms of your market? To the number. Do you know exactly how many clients you can get? How do you know that? That is the work that you need to do. You need to demonstrate that you've thought through and done the homework. So if I say, okay, I'm a hair salon, I want money for my hair salon, I want to open 2 more stores or whatever, but there are 5 other hair salons, but I'm saying, no, but there are 20,000 women here. But 20,000 women spread amongst other hair salons, right? So honestly, can you achieve 100% of the market? No. Potentially, maybe if you're lucky, you can get 10. But what is your competitive advantage? Why you? What is the differentiator? What is the pricing? What is your pricing model? What is your business model? Right? How is your business making money? What are some of the other things that you need to communicate? Annuity income. What is annuity income? It basically says, I have recurring, stable income. Even if you make a lot of money, right? Let's say, and I'll use an example, amazing logistics company that I worked with, they had great contracts with government, but it was project to project to project, right? What did that say? It's not stable. They have to wait to be awarded a project for them to get money. They have not looked at any way for them to create annuity income, recurring income, right? So even if you have a big client, you've got one big client, for me, that's a risk. Because if that one big client leaves, then what? There's no money. So you need to demonstrate, even if it's the 80-20 principle that says, this percentage is recurring. I've got a retainer, I've got a subscription, I've got a membership model, I've got, you know what I mean? I've got recurring money coming in from the same clients, even if it's the same clients, right? But what do you want to show? You want to show that there's stability, right? Even if you're not profit making, what you're looking for is there is some stable income, right? Even if you're selling one client, it's fine, but can you show maybe on average per month so many clients, right? Do you have repeat clients? Do you have repeat business? Those things are critical, so you need to demonstrate that in your marketing and your business plan, because those are some of the indicators that's going to say whether you get funded or not funded. And also, the other thing is funding is competitive, right? Many businesses, same type of business. I'm looking at 2, 3, 5 businesses with the same type of things, right? All of you have tourism businesses or whatever you do, right? But this one's got stability. They've created some annuity, even if it's 20%, right? They've demonstrated that when they had debt, previously they've repaid it quickly, right? They're demonstrating that they're managing their cash flow well. Things like that. They've thought through their marketing plan. They thought it through how they're going to optimize their money, right? So you are also competing. It's not just you asking. It's you versus other businesses. So think of your business model. Think of how you're positioning yourself. How are you telling your story in a way that creates credibility and confidence, right? And talk about your team as well. Who's on your team? Who are you working with? Do you have any mentors? Do you have any advisors that's guiding you and supporting you, right? Who else are you working with? Don't be shy in terms of listing those people and talking about, it's not just me. Even if you're one man, you have people that are guiding you and supporting you. Talk about those people, because it demonstrates that you're not just doing this on your own. Okay. We also talk about legal considerations. Now, why is legal important? Remember what I spoke about? I said, everybody wants the wedding day, maybe not so much the marriage work, but nobody wants the divorce. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. What happens if you can't pay back the money, the debt that you got? Do you understand what you agreed to? What did you sign? What did you say they can do if you can't pay back? Do you know? Even many of you now, I can tell you, even in terms of supplier contracts, when somebody says, no, you can supply me, yes, right? And then what happens? Petrol price increases, this happens, interest rates increase. You can't afford to service that contract anymore. Do you understand whether you've got terms to renegotiate? Have you included that? What are the things that you really need to think about it legally? I'm not just talking about in terms of the interest rates. I'm talking about protecting your business, protecting your family. What happens if you've got a huge debt, you just took it and you pass away? Do you guys have plans in place? Show me, show of hands. Who's got plans in place for your business if you pass away? You've got plans in place, sir? If you pass away, no one else, what happens to your business? You've put in every day, this is your business, day and night. You're working like a slave. What happens to your business if you're no longer there? So legal is a key requirement for your business. So even if you do not want funding, go through the legal training so you understand, right? Do you guys know what the Companies Act is? Do you know what's in the Companies Act? Do you know that you can go to jail? Okay. Fiduciary duty. Please know what, the moment you register your company, your director, it says the director, founder, managing director, Companies Act, you are liable, right? It means somebody can take you to court, someone can report you to the police, okay? Be very clear about what you're signing yourself up for, okay? So even if you are not asking for funding, remember there's other things that happen in terms of your business. Poppy Act, there's so many things that you are liable for as a business. Environmental requirements. They can say that your business is busy polluting there, right? What are you going to do? So understand, some of these things are legal requirements. It's nice to register a business. It's not so nice once you find out when things go wrong. So what do? We try and mitigate the risk. It's not about things going wrong. It's about ensuring you understand and protect yourself and your business should anything happen, right? Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit technical stuff. What is IRR? See, I put little formulas. Do you know how to calculate it? I've seen people go and pitch and they use the word IRR, your return. When I do the math, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, sir. What is the rate of return, right? What is going to be the return on investment? The moment you put 1 rand in, how much you're going to get out. Even if you don't get it out immediately, year 1, maybe minus, year 2 minus, year 3 plus 1, year 4 plus 2. How did you get to those numbers? Understand some of the fundamental math behind what you're saying so that you at least know what you're committing yourself to. Alright? Again, you're going into a marriage. You're saying, please come in. I'm going to commit these things. What are you committing to? What are you agreeing to? Be clear. Understand some of the terminology. Alright? Now, what is a term sheet? That is for if you want to go and get equity investment. That's basically, it's a non-legal agreement where they basically stipulate these are the terms in terms of investment. So these are some of the things. Obviously, I can't cover everything right now, but these are some of the things that you need to familiarize yourself with. So at least you know when somebody says, I'm going to give you a term sheet, and you think, now it's an agreement. It's not. It's just saying, this is what we're proposing, right? Okay, funding options. Number 1, bootstrapping. That's you putting your hard-earned savings, whatever, into your business, right? Then friends and family and fools, as they say. Again, track it, communicate it in terms of your business to say, I've had people have invested, even if it's your mother, that's okay. Track it because it shows somebody's invested and trusted your business, right? Debt, the universe of debt structures. How many different types of debt structures are there? Do you know what mezzanine is? Do you know how debt is structured? Do you know what are the different ways you can pay back debt, right? So debt, there's a universe of debt. There's VC debt. Guys, it's just about how it's sliced and diced. So it's basically a loan, yes, but how it's repaid, how it's structured, how you borrow, all of those things can be structured differently, right? Equity, I'm an angel investor, right? Mainly angel investors, we invest in startups, we invest in ideas, but also we invest in businesses that we're confident in, right? As a shareholder, as an angel investor, there is also a level of accountability that the business has to report and be transparent about financials, right? What's happening in the business. VCs mainly, and let me be very clear, majority, and let's not say all, majority, 90% of VCs, what are they looking for?
A VC firm is looking for a high growth business. That's why most VCs go for tech, right? Doesn't mean all VCs invest in tech, but they're looking for a business that shows high growth. If you have a consulting business, do you think you can get VC funding? Very unlikely, right? So think of something that is stand out, that is competitive, that is compelling, because a venture capital firm is going to say, wow, we really like this business, we want to invest in it, right? In terms of all of this, angel, VC, private equity, one thing you need to keep in mind, what is your exit strategy, right? Because remember, debt, repayment, right? Equity, exit, which means you need to remember that you need to exit. So what is your exit? Because this money is not indefinitely, right? So after 5 years to 7 years, how are you moving on? Are you going to sell to someone else? Are you going to buy back those shares? What is your plan? So before you even go to a VC or for any kind of equity, consider your exit strategy, or consider if you don't want an exit strategy, what is your proposal, right? Then short-term financing, there's so many different types of short-term financing. We call them microfinancing, purchase order, invoice, working capital, the list goes on, right? Crowdfunding, Kickstarter campaigns. Then you have all your DFI types of funding, ESD, grants, interest-free loans. There's a number of funding options there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about pitching. What are the base, and I'm going to end with this slide, what are the base requirements for a good pitch? If you're going to pitch your business, make sure you have a clear business plan and strategy that underpins the pitch, right? Because what you're doing in the pitch, it's basically almost an elevator version of the broader strategy and plan. So you're just communicating high level what the plan is, right? Then are your financials in order, because you're communicating a forecast based on current and historic financials as well as future projections. What are you looking at? What is this going to look like? What does the business currently look like? And what is it going to look like in the next 5 years, right? Then business information, who's your team? What are they doing? I have an engineering firm, but I don't have any engineers in my business. Maybe a credibility issue, right? Who is in your business? We look at that. Why your great idea of business, and why should any investor care? Why? Why you? Because you've got a business? No. Because you've got a compelling proposition, right? You're a winner, you're a champion, that's why. Value and growth plan, what is the value? And in trusting my business and putting money into my business, right? And then funding structures you will consider. So you should know what type of funding structure you want, right? You should know what is the type of funding that you're looking for. Am I looking for working capital? Am I looking for equity? What am I looking for? What is that type of funding structures? How will you use it? Be very clear, right? We're going to use this funding to prototype our new cell phone tower, and we're going to do 3 different towers. We're going to test it for a year. This is what we need the funding for. Right? This is how much it costs to build the structure. This is who we're going to test it with. Because if I have to ask you that question and you don't have the answer, credibility down the drain, right? Because you don't even know what you really need the money for. Okay, returns expected and by when? What is your forecasting? And again, what is your exit strategy? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cleola Kunene.
Cleola, thank you so much. How many of you got a bit of a wake-up call? How many of you are going to plan for things you didn't think you even needed to plan for? Okay, yes, Cleola, thank you so much. I think this is business saving, family saving kind of information.
Yes.
Before you go, I don't know, I want to ask you, I know you do a lot of speaking engagements, you're in the SME sector, like what is it that drives you to speak to SMEs? Where does this passion come from?
So I think it's because I've been where you are, right? I know what it's like to slog away and have a great idea and just want to make sure it works, right? And also, we all come from a space where we have families, we want to earn money, and the point is not to make your life harder, right? But rather, how do we enable you? And that's my dream. If I can help SMEs to just make things a little bit easier so that they don't fall into the same traps, you know, then that is the win for me. So that's basically where it comes from.
That's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen,